Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. IRS Free File program available through October 15th. IR 2021-198, October 5th, 2021, Washington. The Internal Revenue Service announced today that Free File remains available through October 15th for those taxpayers who still need to file their 2020 tax returns. So if you have not yet filed your 2020 tax returns, I highly recommend taking advantage of this if it's something that would be applicable to you. So in other words, when you're thinking about completing your tax returns, your options generally are you can do it yourself or you can hire someone else to do it. Typically, if you're going to do it yourself, you're going to be wanting to use some kind of software to help double check and guide you with an interview process through the process, that making it a whole lot easier to do. And also, given the fact that we have a lot of law changes that are happening from year to year with regards to the responses to the pandemic and stimulus checks and this kind of things, as well as most people's incomes changing from year to year, this resulting in a whole lot of uncertainty or non-consistency, at least, from year to year. That makes it harder to do the tax return. So if you're going to do it yourself, even if it's a fairly basic return, due to, in part, the refundable credits, the stimulus payments, and so on and so forth, you probably want the tax software to help you through that. You probably do not want to be doing it by hand at this point in time. And so the tax software, free tax software, is still available even if on extension up to the end of the extension deadline, which is typically for most people October 15th. So your other option, of course, is to hire someone to be helping you out with the taxes. And I would suggest that if you're above the threshold to get the free file software, that would be one indication that your tax return is becoming complicated enough that you might want to hire someone to be helping you out. And or if you have complications such as a Schedule C business, sometimes might be something that would be pushing you over to seek advice, because you can get some other possibly tax advice related to that as well as if you're itemizing your deductions and as opposed to a standard deduction, that could add a level of complexity, which might lead you to say maybe it's a point in time that I want to get help with someone to help me out with the taxes. When you're looking for someone to help you out with the taxes, unlike when you're just trying to complete the tax return, you're probably looking for not just the meeting of the immediate need of getting the tax return completed, but then looking for someone that's going to help you out in the event that you need tax planning as your income grows over time, and give you some advice possibly with regards to tax planning, as well as advice if you get letters from the Internal Revenue Service asking about this and that or the other thing. So in any case, if you have not done your tax return, the free file software, great tool, is still available up until the extension. Take advantage of it if it's applicable to you. Free File is the IRS's public-private partnership with tax preparation software industry leaders to provide their brand name products for free. So in essence, I'm imagining it kind of worked out like this. You got the big brand name softwares that are out there like Intuit and others. The IRS making the tax code more complicated these days, and an attempt to respond with stimulus kind of benefits and whatnot, and refundable credits and whatnot. And they're trying then to get the people that would qualify under a certain threshold to get access to good software, which would be, of course, the industry software. So they kind of pressured the industries like the Intuits and so on of the world to basically, give a free portion of the software if your income is below a certain threshold. That means that you can look them up kind of on the IRS website and then possibly go to that third-party software. And if you're under a certain threshold and qualify for their free portion, then you can use the brand name third-party software, which would be, good market software to help you guide you through your tax complications and so on and get the tax return done. But it's a limited time thing. The IRS can only force the third parties to do this up until it looks like the extension time frame. And after that point in time, you may not have access to it, at which point you'd have to pay for it. And, so you'd want to do it before that time, so you don't have to pay for it. So Free File provides 2 ways for taxpayers to prepare and file their federal income tax online for free. You got the traditional IRS. Free File provides free online tax preparation and filing options on IRS partner sites. Taxpayers whose adjusted gross income, AGI, is $72,000 or less qualify for any IRS Free File partner offers. For taxpayers whose income AGI is greater than $72,000, there's the Free File Fillable Forms. Now, if you're over the $72,000, then you could do it with the Free File Fillable Forms, which is kind of like almost like doing it by hand. It's like doing it kind of like by hand, but still on the computer, the Free File Fillable Forms possibly. And that's going to be more complicated. That you don't have the same kind of interview kind of setup as the tax software does. So if you're doing that, if you're over that threshold, then it might be that your tax return is complicated to the point where you would like to probably have software. You might then want to pay for the software in order to help you out with the input process, or you might be over the threshold where you should be seeking possibly advice and getting help putting the tax return together at that point in time. And again, if you seek help, I would suggest looking for a long-term, like a CPA firm or an enrolled agent that you plan on doing business with for a longer period of time that could give you advice in the future. So it provides electronic federal tax forms that can be filled out and filed online for free. To use this option, taxpayers should know how to prepare their own tax return, which again is becoming harder and harder as the laws changes and your tax circumstances might be changing from year to year. So always start on irs.gov, irs.gov, the IRS website. From the homepage, select File Your Taxes for Free. There's a link to that here. Pick an option based on income. Follow links to the chosen free file provider's website. Taxpayers who requested the 6-month filing extension should complete their tax returns and file on or before October 15th. So once again, deadline. Lines which are dead, like zombies, they creep up on you and try to suck your brain out and take your life. So you want to basically keep in front of the deadline by doing the tax return. And, the deadlines move awfully slow oftentimes, but they kind of creep up on you like the zombies. So you want to make sure you get that done, or else you might have to pay for the filing software. So only current year tax returns can be filed using IRS Free File. The IRS does not allow electronic filing for prior year returns through self-preparation websites. So you might be saying, hey, look, I haven't filed for like the last 5 years. Can I do those tax returns with the Free File software? Generally, no. And if you go past the October 15th deadline, you might not be able to file the prior year tax return, the 2020 tax return. So what you want to do is, if you think the prior year tax returns are basically something that you might benefit from, then you might try to do the 2020 tax return with the Free File software and use that to determine whether or not it would be worthwhile to file the prior year tax returns in the event that possibly you're in a situation where you're not required to file them, but you might get benefits from doing so, such as withholdings that had been withheld from the employers, or if you had access to credits like the earned income credits and child tax credits, which there could be a refundable portion to them, then you might say, hey, maybe I should file these prior year softwares, and maybe you want to pay for the software to do it in prior years if you have to, because it might be beneficial still to do that. So you might want to check out the 2020. Also note, if you don't have the information to file the tax returns, like the W-2s, the 1099s, and so on, and you're saying, I don't have it. Well, you might be able to go back to the people that should have given you and go there. That would be the traditional route, but you might be saying, I don't want to talk to my prior employers and whatnot. No, then maybe you can go to the IRS website, go to your account on the IRS website, and you might be able to get access to basically the information that has been provided to them to help you to kind of reconstruct the prior year tax returns from that. So given the software and basically the information that the IRS has related to your W-2s, 1099s, and so on, you might be able to reconstruct the prior year tax returns in the event that you need to, although you don't have the free software to do it, because they only give you the free software during like the current year. So prior year returns can only be filed electronically by registered tax preparers for the 2 previous tax years. Otherwise, taxpayers must print, sign, and mail prior year tax returns. The IRS Directory of Federal Tax Return Preparers with credentials and select qualifications. So there's a link to that here. Lists qualified local preparers if you want help possibly with that, or any other kind of help preparing tax returns. You could check that out and look into it. There's going to be a link to that here, and there'll be a link to this in the description.